You can't take them out.
No.
If you're going to get a gun and defend your situation, they're coming into your house, maybe they're threatening your lives or whatever, you are not going to take those others out. You become expendable.
Yeah.
If you try to take out those two, God's going to let you die because they have to have their chance to come to Christ. Now, and I'm not even talking the camps of Arminianism and Calvinism. We don't even have to discuss that. It's not even a topic of argument. The thing is that God, from his eternal perspective, knowing beginning from the end, he already knows who is and who isn't. So we can have an identical situation. Let's say 5 tares come into your house. He's going to tell you to pick up a gun and blow them away. That's an option that you can actually have. Now, you have to be praying for this. You can't perceive this by your own natural means or anything. There's no way. I don't care how hellish they're going to act. Myself and others can testify that they acted pretty devilish before they got saved. You wouldn't know that they would ever get saved. That's not by human perception. You can't. But you can maybe pray an identical situation, and you have 2 to 5 different people, and let's say they're all going to be sheep. And maybe they're going to be sheep after they kill you when you're smiling and asking forgiveness for them, not for you, and there's no fear in you. This is what drove Nero crazy, with all the Christians going to their death, praising God and worshiping God and not being in terror and in fear. We just don't know, but God does, and he can let us know. We have the option of asking him, and he will tell us. But he's not going to tell us. That would be only a condition that he would tell us, I'll be in a terror.
Right.
But that option is available for us if we truly understand that God is in complete control. He knows everything because it's already happened, and you can go to the source, him alone, and he can tell you how to survive through the toughest times in this world. But it's just having your, dogma in the right place so that you can know that you're even able to say that kind of a prayer. So having a gun or not having a gun, that's not even an issue anymore. Once you truly understand, we are stuck in a parallel altered dimension that's going to come to an end. It's going to fry, and we belong to the other one, and Jesus is the only bridge to get from here to there. You can't earn it. You can't learn it. You just accept what Christ has already done by walking over that bridge. And actually literally unconditional surrender to the one that loved you so much, he came here and died for you. That's when you really understand that, it's easy to make an unconditional surrender. It's like, man, you love me that much, I'd be nuts not to follow you.
Amen. Jim, I was thinking, we have a daughter and son-in-law and some grandkids live over in Israel, and they've been writing to us the last few days about that big sandstorm that's going on over there, and it's hard for them because, first of all, it's oppressively hot. Second of all, they're stuck in a house, and if you've ever been stuck in a house with 5 kids 7 years old and under, you'd understand how that could be pressing. And third of all, there's no air conditioning, and they can't go outside. And I know some of that sounds a little redundant, but it is all separate and it's the same. But anyway, and so we understand that they're going through a lot right now, and it's not pleasant. But it is Israel, so. But in any case, what I'm trying to say is that now, why is this happening? Why are so many people with respiratory problems having trouble over there? Or, so let's look at the deal here. Let's look back at 1967 before we talk about finish talking about the dust storm. 1967, the 6-Day War. A lot of stories came out of that war that were really miraculous, and I know a lot of people, those are just rumors. No, they're not. They're true. I know that one, I think it was either Jordanian or Syrian column, was camped out in the desert, and they heard the sound of horses and soldiers, and they fled. And if I remember my story correctly, they even went to the top of the hill and saw angels on horses. Another company heard a bunch of tanks coming, and they fled. And there were no tanks there, but God made it sound like there were tanks there and put fear into them. So God is able to use things that aren't there or aren't visible to us, I should say, because they are there, to influence us and also our enemies into doing things that He wants us to do. Now, getting back to the sandstorm over there, okay, so yes, it is an inconvenience. Yes, it is hard for the children and everything, and for the parents with the children. But at the same time, what's going on in the background? Now, there's got to be a reason why this is happening, and hopefully this will come out in the news if it's true, But What if there was a whole company or a whole bunch of members of ISIS coming across the Jordanian border or down through Syria to the Golan Heights? What if this quashed that? What if our government or another government was watching the movements of Israeli troops around Israel in order to report back to the? I could just see Obama reporting that back to his Muslim brothers back overseas. This is what the Israelis are doing. Mass your troops here. But if there's a sandstorm, the satellites can't see through the sand. So there's my guess is that although it's an inconvenience for a lot of Israelis, and although it is hurting some people because of respiratory ailments and stuff, that there's something bigger going on. There's something going on that we're not either not being told, or maybe our government doesn't even know about. Who knows? But this is being used for his grand purpose, for his glory, and for the perpetuation of Israel. And I know that a lot of people don't agree with Israel and stuff like that. But you know what? They're there for a reason. And just like you and I are here for a reason, and we're here before we got saved. They're there for a reason, and there will be a humongous revival in Israel someday. The Bible promises us that. And so, there's things that happen in the background that are truly amazing. I know that in my own case, and I probably shared this online, Jim, a while back, but what happened was it was one of those days, you're trying to get to work, and, we were still living down in Eugene, and we weren't too far from work, but trying to get there, and you get behind. And boy, I'm telling you, if you think drivers are bad in other parts of the country, come visit Oregon. But I'm behind this one guy, and he's going like 5 miles under the speed limit, and I want to get to work, like any normal red-blooded American. I've got a job, and I want to keep it. So I'm driving, and this guy's going 20 miles under the speed limit, and then we approach this light that's like the light from hell on the way to work, and he makes it through the light. He's just going fast enough to make it through the light where I have to stop. And so my blood's starting to boil a little bit, and I'll be the first to admit that when I get behind the wheel, I'm a different person. I don't get truly violent or anything, but I'm not happy when I'm driving, because nobody drives as good as I do. And I'm just teasing, of course, but anyway, and so then I get behind another slow driver, and then I get hit by another light, and so I'm sitting at this last light while I'm turning to go to my workplace, and the Lord says, what you just did was really dumb, and I let the Lord speak to me like that, and even if I didn't let him, he would speak to me like that, but, and he and I got an arrangement where he could tell me what he wants to tell me, and use uses his assessments to try to get me to turn around and do right. But he said, that was kind of dumb. And I said, I kind of realized that, Lord. He says, here's why it was, And he says, what if you would have made it through that light? What if somebody was coming out of the driveway and you wouldn't have seen them, and you would have hit them, or they wouldn't have seen you and they would have hit you? But because you got stuck at the light, that didn't happen. And what if you got to work and and somebody was backing their car out and ran into them, but because you were stopped at the light, you didn't do that. And he even went further. He says, what? My kingdom is orderly, and I've got everything laid out the way it's supposed to be. You were meant to be stuck behind that one car. You were meant to be stuck behind the two lights, because it happened, now you and I are talking about this.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you're right, Lord, and I am really sorry, and I repented, and I'm not going to say that I learned my total lesson, but now at least when I get in situations such as that, I think about that there's a purpose for everything, and it says in is it Proverbs or Psalms, Jim? I think it's Proverbs. There's a time and purpose for everything under heaven.
Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes. Well, I had the right writer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a purpose for everything under heaven, and I know so many times that when we're going through hard times and stuff, we tend to want to go through the Jack in the Box God to get things done, the drive-through. the McDonald's God, the drive-through.
Santa. Yeah.
We want the answer right now, but what would that really get us? It doesn't really get us what we want. It doesn't get us what God wants. It gets us what we want. And is that necessarily a good thing? Because if I got everything that I want, I know that I probably would not be in a good place right now. But in either case, we need to just wait on Him. And financially, we for the last couple of years we've been kind of I got to say that we've made it, or actually God has seen us through, and but there were tough times, and I am one, Jim, that I like to have financially, I like to have everything in order. I like to know what bill's coming, what I can pay, what I can't pay, and all my life I've been able to pay my bills, on time. But for the last couple, 2.5 years maybe, because of being out of work and going to school and stuff like that, things have been pretty tight. And there have been times where, we were wondering, or I was wondering, where our next meal is going to come from. My wife has a lot more faith than I do when it comes to these things. But so anyway, but if you wait and you finally got to throw your hands. I found out, Jim, you got to throw your hands up and say, okay, well, there's nothing I can do about it. You do something because you can do something about it. Talking about the Lord, and then and of course He's not a genie in a bottle, and He's not going to answer right away. But after a little while, you start realizing, hey, we met our bills, we had food, and we could pay our rent, or we could pay our mortgage, and you start realizing it, and then all of a sudden, Jim, blessings just start coming left and right. And don't get me wrong; those other things were blessings because they taught us how to live and how to, and being newlyweds and being in such a situation, we really got to know each other, and we really got to experience what we could be like when there's no money around, and I got to say, with pride in what the Lord did, that we made it, and praise the Lord, everything's good. And now, things have changed around a little bit. And things are looking better financially. But, so it's all watch and pray, Jim, right?
Yep. And what you were saying about your traffic thing, it reminded me of something that happened back in 1978. We were going on a run up north to our property. We had 40 acres up there when I was pastoring the King's Kids. It was Detroit's first evangelical Christian motorcycle club. We were caught in the rain on our way up north on I-75, and we were behind this big semi. And the thing is, if we get behind the semi, it is running interference with us. It's blocking all the rain. We're kind of somewhat staying, dry or safer. But then all of a sudden, one of the guys' bikes sputters and dies. So, we had like 26 bikes, I think, in a pack riding up north. And so we all pulled over. And we're trying to fix, this guy's bike and checking it out, looking at it. Come to happen that what happened was that his knee butted up against the gas spigot and turned the gas off. So he ran out of gas. So,
Really?
A silly, stupid thing like that. Okay, thanks, great, Wally. Now we all got to go just eat rain and all the highway stuff. So we're going a little bit slower. We're getting a whole lot wetter, and then all of a sudden, up ahead, the traffic is being diverted. The truck that we were riding behind jackknifed.
Oh, no.
And took the entire lanes of the expressway with, the back of his trailer. Had we been behind them when that truck jackknifed, it could have wiped out every bike that was behind him.
Oh,
that was, to me, that was wow. All of us, we were just amazed. Wow, thank you, Lord, for letting Wally have his bike run out of gas. It probably saved all of our lives. But, we were pretty upset there for a minute. Like, oh, great, now we got to eat rain, take a free shower. Man alive. And it's so many times, that kind of thing has happened. I'm sure the farmers in France were not happy that all of a sudden it was pouring down rain when it was supposed to be nice and dry and clear skies and everything. And then it poured down rain so bad that it probably flooded out some of their gardens, and they probably weren't the happiest in the world when this unexpected weather just suddenly came out of nowhere and kind of ruined, a lot of people's plans. But the thing is, this was in 1939. It was what was called the Great Dunkirk Escape, when Allied forces, Britain, had landed into France to help France when Nazi Germany was taking over. And